QC Toy Show. How you doing? How you doing? Good? You got here safely, right? Even through the ice. So welcome. We're glad to have you here. Please help me welcome our panelist, Bettina Bush. Bettina is an actress, producer, and pop music singer, most recognized for voiceover work in the 80s animated shows My Little Pony, Get Along Gang, The Littles, and Rainbow Bright. Bettina has also worked on Rugrats, Ben 10, and is the voice of Gloria in Madagascar video games. So please help me welcome Ms. Bettina Bush.
Hi. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So just got a few questions to start us off. Talk about your origin story. So you got started about the age of 5 acting. So you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Sure. So when I was a little girl, my sister and I used to model for at the mall for like the Saks Fifth Avenue and Bloomingdale's, and we lived in New Jersey at the time. And so we'd go into New York and do that kind of thing. And then my dad got a job at Max Factor in Hollywood. And so I naturally thought that was because we were moving to Hollywood so I could be on TV. So we moved to Hollywood when I was 5 years old. And we ended up in the suburbs outside of LA. And I wanted to get an agent, and I wanted to get a manager, and I wanted to get started. And so my parents were very supportive of me, thankfully. And we went out and did all those things. And my first commercial job was it's very full circle. I did a McDonald's commercial when I was a little girl. It was actually in Spanish. I played a Spanish little girl, and then I did Kool-Aid commercials and Dunkin' Hines cookies, and I ended up doing a voiceover for a commercial when I was little, and I was just good at it. I just liked it. It was fun. It was natural. It was just a natural, easy thing for me to do. And when I did that in this particular studio for that commercial, it was a studio called Wally Burr Studios. And that gentleman had just picked up a contract with Andy Hayward, who was the founder of Deke. And Deke was one of the biggest animation companies in the 80s. And Andy, at the very beginning, his first shows were Inspector Gadget and The Littles. And so Wally happened to do that commercial with me. And so when Andy said, I need a little girl, he said, this little girl is who you need to have read. And so I came in and I read for Lucy Little, and the rest is kind of history. I became Andy's girl. So Andy ended up putting me on the Get Along Gang and the Karate Kid and all these different shows that he produced. I mean, there are actually so many that I don't think are even on my IMDb that I was on that he produced, because it was literally, if there was just a voice that he needed, I would be around and I would just come in and do it. And it was so much fun. But the big pivotal moment for Rainbow Bright was I was doing The Littles, and I was in set school with my friend Jimmy Keegan, who was on that show, and David Wagner, and they brought in a black and white drawing. It was a sketch of a little girl, and her name was Wisp. And I looked at it, and they said, "What do you think she'd sound like?" And so I just kind of started talking how I thought Wisp would sound. And they kind of looked at each other, and they're like, okay. And so the next time I came in, they said, okay, so you're going to be Rainbow Bright. I said, who's Rainbow Bright? And so then they brought in this colored picture of Wisp, and she was beautiful, and I was so excited, the purple star on her cheek, and I was just beyond excited, and we were off to the races. And so we ended up having one of my best friends growing up, Scott Manville, played Brian. And we were in set school together, doing that show for years. And he's now Robin on Teen Titans. He's quite well known in the voiceover industry, and we both kind of grew up together working. And yeah, Rainbow Bright, we had quite a few episodes, I think a couple seasons under our belts before I found out that, I didn't find out. I was in the booth, and they said, hey, can you sing Happy Birthday? And I was like, sure, whose birthday is it? And so I sing Happy Birthday, and so there's all this, when you're in the booth and they don't push the button and talk to you and they start doing all these things and you're like, what's happening? It feels so weird. And so that all started happening after I sang Happy Birthday. And then and then it all died down and they pushed the button again and they're like, could you sing something else? Maybe something more challenging? So I was like, okay. So I had been Annie in musical theater, you know, over the summer or something. And so I sang Tomorrow. And I belted it out, and they just kind of like sat there. I was like, what is happening here? And so then, you know, they get all quiet again, they start doing all this stuff. And there's some executives in there from Hallmark, and there's some other executives that I'd never seen before. Turns out they were from one of his records, which was, you know, would turn out to be Disney Hollywood Records. And they were making a Rainbow Bright album. And they had been on a search for an adult woman to sing for Rainbow Bright. And they couldn't find anybody who sounded enough like I sounded. They had never bothered to ask if I could sing. So they had spent all this money looking for this singer that they couldn't find, and I was sitting right there, and I was happy to do it. And the funny part was, you know, I was in musical theater my whole life. I loved doing it, and singing was I was actually at that point I was writing music. And so so we went in and we recorded Paint a Rainbow in Your Heart. And I did Make Room for a Rainbow Inside and Starlight Rainbow Bright, and it was such a magical album. And I still get many fans who reach out and say, you know, when I was sad or when I was going through a hard time, I would put on that album and it would lift me up and it would brighten my life and it would make it okay and it would help me get through. And for me, that's everything. You know, if I had done that for one person, that would have, you know, made everything, you know, just so much more purposeful. And but the hundreds of people that I hear from, and I know that she had a reach of thousands, millions, because we were number 2 to the Cabbage Patch Doll back then. You know, it was a big deal, and to know that we were able to touch people, and all we were doing was, you know, I was going in and having fun and singing and just trying to get the joy across. And I remember we had a chorus of kids because they brought in kids, singer kids for the color kids. And so I got to make a bunch of new friends, and they were in the room, and we would have these little rehearsals. And I remember the director saying, okay, you guys, you're all great singers, but watch how excited and happy Bettina gets when she sings, and you can hear that in the record when you play it back. So I want you all to, even if you're not in a good mood, get happy and be joyful when you sing. And I think that was a big part of it. You know, I was very fortunate to have a really happy childhood, and I was very fortunate to be able to do what I loved. And so there was, for me, it was the joyful sound of Rainbow Bright was natural because I was a happy person. And so, and I still am. I'm a very blessed person, but it came across because it was authentic. And I feel like that's when I receive those emails of love from people saying that she did that for them, that just means the world to me. And then we went on to do a Christmas album, and I love that album so much, it's so good. There's a song called A Gift of Love that I think should just be played all the time, and you know, people still don't get to hear it anymore. But it's beautiful. And then we went on to do Rainbow Bright and the Star Stealer, which was my first movie premiere. Back then they didn't do like all the red carpets and all of that, but I got to go to the studio, and they had like a big giant screen, and there was a screening of it, and all of the people from all of the different behind the scenes were there, and it was just so much fun, and it was a really big deal. And I had good parents who kept me humble, who didn't make a big deal out of things, but then when strangers are coming up to you and they're making it a big deal, you start to be like, okay, wait, this kind of is a big deal. But it was fun, and I was able to really enjoy it as a kid, and now as a mom, growing up and seeing beautiful young ladies like the ones in the audience who are familiar with Rainbow Bright and being touched by her now, it's special, and I really love it.
Excellent. Yeah, it's people like myself who grew up with Rainbow Bright now, having kids as well and introducing them to what we loved as a kid and passing it forward. So do you want to talk a little bit more about just getting to meet multi-generations of fans? Or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Another one that's happened with is My Little Pony, because back when My Little Pony and Friends came out, I remember I auditioned for that on my 14th birthday, and I'd actually come from a Rainbow Bright session. And I remember because the Challenger blew up on that day. And so I was like, this is the worst day. It's like my birthday and nobody cares because, and I'm so sad because I was watching this whole thing happen. And then I was there auditioning for My Little Pony. I'm like, well, this day is gonna turn around because they told me it's 65 episodes, but it's also 65 songs. So you're gonna have to learn 65 songs. Can you do that? I'm like, can I do that? Oh my gosh, I can't wait to do that. Like, bring on the songs. I was so excited. And we did. We got to do all of those songs, and that show was on, I felt like, all the time. And then My Little Pony came back when I became a mom, and my daughter was, 3, 4, 5 years old. She wanted to watch My Little Pony, and I had all these ponies already in my house, and they didn't bring back Megan, my character. And so what was fun about that was that for every kid who's like, wait, you're on My Little Pony, which pony? And I would explain, no, I was the girl who was in charge of all the ponies. And they're like, wow. And that's really fun. So I'm super excited for the Rainbow Bright reboot because they just did this huge announcement that they're going to be doing a film and a series, and that's all coming out. And so now it's going to be, as much as it is filtered down a little bit, with moms sharing with their daughters, now it's actually coming out. And I say daughters, but you know what? There are so many little boys, yep. So many grown men who love Rainbow Bright.
Oh, yeah.
And some of them are the most amazing. There's a fan named Kenneth Mogan who is incredible. He's actually written articles for the Huffington Post, and he's wonderful. And he grew up with Rainbow Bright, and he opened my eyes to the fact that it wasn't just little girls. And there's so many people that are inspired by her, and I really think the secret to that is the fact that she embodies hope and optimism, and we all need that. No matter who you are, where you are in your life, you either need it or you're trying to provide it for someone. So I think that that's really special.
Amen to that. Can you, maybe you can't say much about the reboot, but can you say if you'll be involved or not? Or?
I can't say. I have no idea. People Magazine just did an article on me, and it just came out, I think, just a week ago. And they had asked me the same question, and so they said, well, we're putting it out there to the producers. We would love everybody would love to, and I would love to be a part of it. I'm writing and recording a new children's album.
Oh, cool.
Yes, and so I would love to have a song in the movie or in the series, or maybe in the closing credits, or just play a character. I don't need, obviously, I don't need to be Rainbow Bright herself. But it would be really special to for the fans and for me to just be a part of, be included. I think it'd be really great. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, so let's use social media for some good. Start some campaigns, right?
That would be fantastic. Yeah. I mean, the fans are where it starts, so I would love that.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, so I have lots of questions, but we also have folks here who might have questions as well. So I'll take a pause on what I've got. And anyone out there have some questions? I will meet you, Portman.
I was wondering, whenever you did recording sections, were you usually by yourself, or were there occasions where you actually got to interact with other voice actors and perform together?
So back in the day, we did the whole cast all the time. That was a new thing that people be separated out. And I think that, I know that that's my favorite way to work, is when you get the whole cast together. It's just the energy in the room, and you play off of each other. It's like doing theater. And really, it's great because I remember when we did the movie, so they would do this, they would have a big room, a big sound room, and they'd put everybody in kind of a horseshoe, and they put whoever's interacting with the most people would be kind of in the middle of the horseshoe, and then they would have the characters go out from there. And we would literally go through we'd go through an entire rehearsal like it was a dress rehearsal for a live theater. And then we would start to record. And it was only if we had like somebody popped a pee or somebody hit a mic or there was something technical, that was the only time that we would stop. And we would do a whole run through of an entire scene. And then if they felt like that was the scene, then they just do pickups at the end. And for me, that was why those shows came across so well. They weren't cut, they weren't edited together. You know, everybody was there playing off of each other because that's how we're trained as actors, is that acting is reacting. And so you need to have that, you know, that interaction with other actors. So it kind of breaks my heart when I walk into a session and they're like, so it's just you in the booth. I'm like, oh, okay, it's just me in the booth, that's fine. But I think a lot of that shifted in the mid-90s when they started using stars for voiceover. I'll never forget the way the tide kind of shifted when Robin Williams did Aladdin, and he was so brilliant. He was so brilliant, and they started to realize, you know, that there were a lot of on-camera comedians that would be really good for voiceover, and I think that was wonderful. But then it started to become the vanity project of someone who, you know, was kind of sort of an actor and didn't really know how to do voiceover, and you know. That was, you know, then it's kind of morphed into something that it shouldn't have. But the Robin Williams and the Billy Crystal and all of those, you know, like they were amazing, and they added so much to animated movies and to all the projects. But that was when they started to, because of scheduling conflicts and things, they started having people do their voiceovers separately. And I remember I was in a Christmas Carol with Whoopi Goldberg. And I was like, I'm gonna get to meet Whoopi Goldberg, and I was actually in Sister Act 3 and got to meet her on that, and I was like, I get to, you know, see her again. Never saw her. She did all of her stuff by herself, and I was super bummed. But I understand, you know, they're in demand, and that's what has to happen. But when I did Elisa for the Rugrats, because Elisa did so many monologues, she was just talking on the phone all the time, and all she ever did was, oh my god, I have to deal with these Rugrats today, and I don't want to babysit, and I don't want to cook, and I don't want to do any of this, my mom's making me, and oh my god. And she's on the phone, and I would just talk for a long time, and it was just me because they were like, the whole cast doesn't need to listen to her do this, because I didn't interact with anybody really. So that was fun, and that made sense. But yeah, my favorite way to do voiceover is with a full cast in a big room and be able to do it like it's theater.
Thank you. Any other questions?
What would have been your favorite role have you done?
What would have been your favorite role of them all?
See, that's like being asked to choose your favorite child.
When there's
And I always tell my son, well, you're my favorite boy, and my daughter, you're my favorite girl, because I have one of each. But I would have to say my favorite character is Rainbow Bright, just because of how defining a moment in so many lives she's been, and a defining moment in my career she's been. She was the first time I ever had a gold record. She was the first time I ever got to be at a movie premiere. She was the first time that I ever got to, you know, hold a doll and be like, I do the voice for that doll. You know, I mean, there were just so many things about her that were pivotal and that still are pivotal. And I adore that, and I love that, and I love the light that she brings to people. But I will say, the most fun that I have now has been doing Gloria in Madagascar, because she's got so much attitude and she's so funny. She's fun to voice, you know, it's just, and I like voice matching, it's a challenge, you know, so to listen to Jada Pinkett Smith and her brilliant work in the films, and then be handed that and say, okay, make a video game come to life, make a Royal Caribbean cruise ship come to life, make, you know, a McDonald's commercial come to life, and being able to say, okay, I've studied her, I've listened to her, I know what she does, and I understand this character and who she is, and that's just, it's challenging and it's fun. So I've enjoyed that a lot too. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Well, I've got, while you're thinking of more, I can go to my list here. So, what are some genres you'd like to explore, some new challenges that would be fun?
I was just actually out there talking to people, and I love the anime world. I love how passionate people are about it and how much they're into it. And I've done Final Fantasy, and I've done a couple of looping sessions for anime. But I find that really fascinating, and I think it would be really fun to dive back into that. But really, I'm writing and recording a children's album, and I as a mom and as a lifetime family entertainment person, I feel like there's a lot of space for positive music that the whole family can listen to, and that is inspirational, and that that helps people lift themselves up when they hear it. That's what I've heard my whole life about the music that I've done for Disney. I did a lot of other children's records for Disney back when they wouldn't credit the singers because they were trying to keep the kind of the veil of, oh, these are Disney kids, and they didn't really say who it was. But I have over 20 gold records with Disney doing children's music, and I did an album called Minnie and Me, and that album particularly, I would get people who knew that I did it talking about how it would just lift up the whole atmosphere in their household, and their kids would just bounce around singing it. And creating that kind of music at this point in my life is something that is really important to me. And so I want to continue to do that. So it's not maybe something new that I would be doing, but it's something new in terms of I won't be doing it as a character. I'll be doing it as myself. Whereas my past projects have always been pop music and country music, things that have been played on different stations like that. That this would be specifically for the children's space.
Excellent, cool. When you are not recording, right, and not interacting with your kids and things like that, what are some hobbies that you might have, some things you do for fun?
I love the beach. I live 15 minutes from the beach, and I love the beach. And I love animals. I love playing with my dog. I support the ASPCA. I think it's really important to take care of the animals. I do charity work with my kids. That's really important to me. We spend a lot of time there's a food pantry in our neighborhood that we spend time working at. There's a dog rescue place that we volunteer at. And honestly, those are the things that make me smile. Those are the things that I enjoy doing. And obviously singing and acting, they're not hobbies, but I would do them if they weren't work, if they don't feel like work.
Wonderful, wonderful. What are some advice you might have for folks who are aspiring to act in some capacity, whether it be voice or stage?
Any opportunity that you have to do it, do it. There's never, some magic moment that you're like, oh, this is the time, this is the class, just do it. Just do it. If there's an opportunity in your local theater, audition. Don't wait until, oh, but I don't think I'll be good enough. Oh, but I don't think I have something prepared. Just go. Just take the chance, step out there, get out, share yourself. God gave you gifts for a reason, so just go share them. And in whatever capacity that you can. My daughter and I sing, we've sung in our church, we sing, we'll go wherever we can open our mouths and share what we have, that's what we do. So if you're aspiring to do it, just do it. And then you'll find that, okay, well, today I sat in my closet and I recorded myself doing some fan voiceovers, and then you have it. And then maybe you post it, and you share it with someone, and then maybe someone hears it, and then maybe someone says, wow, I heard something. I happen to do demos, and can I record one for you? And things just snowball, but they won't snowball if you don't put yourself out there at all. So always, if there's an opportunity to just reach out to one person or share yourself with a couple people, do it, and see what happens. But always, if it brings you joy, that's what you're supposed to be doing. There's a reason why it brings you joy, because you're doing the right thing.
Excellent, excellent. Any other questions? Yeah.
When you have a role to voice act, do you get inspiration from other voice actors, or do you just try to match the vibe from the character?
For me, I feel like collectively over time, you accumulate inspiration from other voice actors. You know, just because you're a fan and you watch the shows and you watch the movies and you listen to the cartoons and all of that. But it really, for me, when I see a character, I see it and I hear it, and it's just a creative process. It just kind of comes to life for me, and then you just start to talk and you just start to see, no, this is who this is to me, and it just starts to come out of you. It's not really something that I have a direct process for, other than just trying to get to know as much about the character as I can. Sometimes they'll give you just a few adjectives. Sometimes they'll give you a whole page. Sometimes they'll give you nothing. They'll give you a little sketch of a girl named Wisp and just be like, go to the races. Like, okay. So you never know what you're gonna get. So you have to kind of draw the creativity out of yourself.
When you were in Rainbow Bright, what was your favorite thing about it?
My favorite thing about doing Rainbow Bright was I would get really excited to receive the scripts. The scripts would arrive at my house, and I'd open them up, and it was like a present. It was like you're getting a gift every time. It's the unexpected. You don't know where she's going to go next. You don't know what she's going to do next. You don't know, what the next turn is she's going to take, or if there's going to be a new character, a new friend to meet, some new adventure that you're going to go on. So that for me was a lot of fun. It kept it fresh. It kept it exciting. I was always really curious to see where she was going to go.
Did you keep all the scripts from Rainbow Bright?
I don't know if we have all of them. My mom my parents retired to Montana, and my mom took all of the stuff with her. And we have quite a few, but I don't know that we have all of them. And I was just actually asked to go try to find them and catalog them. And yes, I'll be hopping on a plane at some point and getting over there and taking that on, because it's important. And I would love to. It's so funny because when you're in the moment and you're living your life day to day, you don't think about that. So I don't think that my parents really thought in terms of, wow, we should keep all of this. And we would have two different versions of every script. There would be the script that you were sent, where everything was written out with all the descriptions and all of that. And then when you arrived at the studio, there was a recording script. The recording script only had the lines and the names. It didn't have, all of the descriptions of what was happening. And, Rainbow Bright arrives and, she comes down on Starlight and they're riding on a rainbow and the color kids are down at the bottom waiting for her. It didn't have all that. You were supposed to have already read that. You're supposed to have already ingested it, understood it. And then when you see Rainbow Bright, oomph, you're supposed to know what happened. so that there are actually two versions of every script. And I don't know that I have both versions of every script or not. I really don't. So I'm looking forward to finding out. I might send my brother up the street to have him go look.
So we've got a few minutes left. So you've already mentioned your upcoming children's album. Are there other projects that you're excited about that you can pitch?
Yes, I actually, we just signed a publishing deal. I have a very good friend named Keyshawn Johnson. He is a legendary football player. You've probably seen him on Fox Sports now. He was on ESPN. And he and I, we both have kids, and they're the same ages, and they've kind of grown up together. And he's very much a dad. And we've talked a lot about the importance of inspiring kids and having them understand their true worth and their self-esteem and the fact that they are the author of their own story and there aren't any limits on them. And he's lived a limitless life. And so we decided to write a series of children's books. So our first one should be coming out in September. And then there will be quite a few coming from there. So I'm looking to time all of this together so that everybody can just, just enjoy, some inspiration. But that's the other project that I'm working on is being an author of children's books.
Wonderful, wonderful. We'll keep an eye out for that. So where can we find you, social media, some of your different works, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. At Bettina Bush Official is my Instagram page, and it has been revived. I kind of went off of social media for a while for personal reasons, but I am back now in full force, and so everybody can connect with me there. And I promise you, we're going to let you know where we are and what we're doing and everything that's coming out, and keep you posted on everything. So please follow me at Bettina Bush Official. Right now it's just Instagram. Too many other things to manage. So we're just going to leave it there. I do have a website, bettinabush.com, and if anybody ever doesn't hear back from me or anything, or wants to reach out for a booking or something like that, they can go through bettinabush.com as well.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we appreciate you joining us for the QC Toy Show, and you will be coming back to the QC area this summer for Planet FunCon?
Yes, I'll be here for Planet FunCon. I'm looking forward to not slipping and sliding on the streets.
Yes.
And I thank you so much, you guys, for all coming out in this weather, because I had no idea this was what was going to be going on, and I so appreciate the dedication, and I love the fact that you guys love what we've created with all of these characters. And so for me, seeing you here is just, it makes my heart so happy. So thank you for coming.
Excellent. So we look forward to the rest of your time here, and then to seeing you again when you come back. Special thanks to Planet FunCon for sponsoring Bettina's visit here. And make sure to check out their table as well. They'll have flyers for their show, things like that. And you'll be here the rest of the weekend?
Yes,
Okay.
I will.
Excellent. So please go out and go to Bettina's table and ask more questions. So thank you again.
Thank you.